I think they did me a little dirty.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Kellen Brower here from Start Your Systems, and welcome to our first edition of Gaming with the Pros. And I'm joined today by Casey Cochran. He is a multi-time Loretta Lynn's champion, a podium contender in AMA Pro Motocross, and of course, a factory racer for Rockstar Energy. Gas. Casey Cochran, welcome to the show, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
You know, take me through your experience with video games and like what you grew up playing. What we're playing today, obviously, MX's ATV Reflex, and how it kind of all fits into what you like as a gamer.
I'm obviously not that old, only 18, so the first console I really got into heavily would have been like the PS3, and then that's what started kind of everything. I remember my first like big moto game. I played a little bit of like Unleashed back in the day on like the old Xbox, but yeah, then got a PS3, and then I was kind of hooked since. So really started playing a lot of Reflex, which is what we're gonna play today. So that kind of just started the love for gaming, and I remember I would be in school sitting there and just can't wait to go home and ride my dirt bike and then play dirt bike video games. So
obviously Reflex is around your time as a kid. Well, why did this game specifically like stick out to you? Like, what were some of the things that made it an immersive experience? Because you grew up racing and riding, so obviously at the end of the day you probably wanted to do this as well as like an extension to that. Why did Reflex like kind of scratch that itch?
Yeah, I would have been probably around 7 or 8 at the time, probably maybe like 6, 7, 8 around that area. So it would have been around 2012, 13. I don't know when Reflex originally released, but it was kind of like the hot topic at the time. Kind of everyone was playing this game, and it still goes down as one of the best, motocross video games there is. A lot of people love it. So I think with especially being that early on, with such a great game that's kind of ahead of its time. So I think that's why a lot of people loved it, and including myself. And then I also spent a lot of time playing Untamed, which is kind of a overlooked MX versus ATV game, I feel. So
for those of you that don't know, Casey is also a very, very good simulation motocross gamer. As you mentioned to me before we even started this, it's been a little bit, but at one point in time you were right on the doorstep of winning a championship in MX Sim. I know you played a little bit of MX bikes. How did you get to that point where you decided, man, I love moto games, but I love them so much I want to actually play these super gnarly ones? Because there's a lot of more pro guys like you that maybe don't have the time to devote to get good at those games. But why did those games hit for you to actually play them and want to do that?
Yeah, so when I was a big PlayStation guy, I was starting with the PS3, and then I went to the PS4 and played MX vs ATV Supercross. That was probably the last console game I played. Obviously Alive came before that and stuff, but I played Supercross, MX vs ATV Supercross for a minute, and then a bunch of my buddies that I knew at the time just were getting like laptops or PCs, and they're like, oh, you got to get one. So then I ended up getting a little laptop, and everyone's like, yeah, you got to get MX Simulator. And this was probably 2016, 2017 is when I started playing MX Sim. And that game is very, very challenging, as you know, when you start. So I think just the challenge of a simulator game is what ropes you in for years, because you see how good other guys are, and then you almost get in a competition like with your buddies, like who can get better quicker. And and so I wouldn't even want to know how many hours I have on MX Simulator. It's gotta be up there. I don't think there's a way you can check, but if there was, it would probably be a little sad.
Do you think that in any way it you kind of were able to use some of your real life experience in that? And then is there anything you even learned from playing a video game that translated back to real life, or is it just far too different?
No, I think it translates for sure. Like even to this day, I'll hop on MX Sim, and we get the tracks before you get to ride them in real life. So if there's a Supercross layout or something, I'll play Wednesday night when the track comes out in Sim and play the whole layout. And you can, a lot of times, I mean, the rhythms are pretty realistic to what you're doing in real life. So you already kind of get a sense of what you're going to do before you even get to the city. So definitely just knowing like the track layouts and stuff is I think an advantage from playing MX Sim and doing that. But then, yeah, obviously knowing how to ride a bike in real life and spending countless hours of my life doing it, I think that also helps in the video game aspect of kind of knowing what to do.
All right, I'm gonna hand the controller off to you, and we're gonna see what kind of skills Casey's got on the sticks here when it comes to reflex. Let's talk about your career a little bit and just like life as being someone that, you know, races motocross professionally. And let's go back to your amateur days maybe just a little bit. And I'm kind of curious for you, in your position, highly touted amateur kid for a long time, can you like remember a point where it, you know, you probably got on a dirt bike and it was probably fun and it was just this fun thing to do, but it got serious at some point? Do you remember that crossover point and like what it was like within that, you know, scope of it to realize, oh man, like this is something I could do as a career and like something that you actively wanted to go after?
Yeah, so it was pretty early on for me that I think me and my whole family kind of decided that this is something we want to do. So when I was in the third grade, just started third grade, and I was in public school at this time, and my parents and we decided that I was gonna get homeschooled and kind of get serious with this, because this was after I had won Loretta's on a junior in the 4 to 6 class already. Mm-hmm. So this was probably around 2013, 2014, and so I went full homeschool, and we shortly after that moved to Culloden, Georgia at MotoX compound, and we sold our house in Tennessee where I lived at the time, and went all in. I lived in a motorhome for 3-4 years with my mom. So yeah, those were the days that I think shaped who I am now and got me to where I'm at. So I was full-time living at a training facility by the age of 8 or 9. And so already kind of fully committed. The whole family had sacrificed so much. So yeah, it was early on.
For a minute there, it seemed like every time we'd come to Loretta's, like 3 or 4 years in a row, it was like you versus Deegan and some of these big names. What was that like as a youngster of your age to, I don't know, like have a rivalry, and the way it was built up to in some regards? Like not many kids go through that when they're super young because it's just about your own individual performance, but you were kind of within a bit of the, I don't want to call it politics, but like the weird dynamics of that kind of rivalry from a young age, right?
Yeah, for sure. I can remember since 50s. I mean, I have been racing Hayden and then Dax and Bennick my whole life. It was kind of us three, I think, at every national on 50s, 65s, 85s was like, you know who's going to be there and you know who you're racing. So, and to still be racing against those guys, and we've all made it to the big show, all on factory teams. So it's kind of crazy, you know, looking back, just racing those guys my whole life, and definitely having a rivalry at a young age with Hayden on Super Minis and before. So yeah, it's definitely shaped who I am, and it's cool to see like people that you've been so close to and almost kind of grown up with. You see these guys at races and they're all doing the same thing as you. To all be in the same position now. It's cool to look back on.
All of you guys in that era, I'm sure went to the gate thinking like, I can win, and this is, you know, I'm going to win this moto and all that. But then when you go to pros, for a minute at least, you have to kind of probably tone that back a little bit. Like obviously you want to win and do the best that you can, but what's that mental reset of like going to the gate and being okay with an 8th or something like that, where you were so accustomed to winning, but now an 8th is kind of that win.
Yes, it is a complete life switch. I remember my first pro national at Budds Creek in 2023. I went out there, and you're so used. I had won everything in B class that year, basically. And you're so used to winning your whole life, really, and being up there and being the guy, and then you go out there and I'm fighting for my life in 16th place. It's like it's a wake-up call. I remember like trying as hard as I could and being in like 16th, 17th. I'm like, this is unreal, because you don't know how good all these guys are until you're there. And definitely a mental reset. I remember like my first pro race, my dad's like, yo, you gotta accept and be like, you might not win a race for a couple years. You know, like it's possible that you've won so much like your whole life growing up that you could go years without winning a race. And that's the reality of it whenever you turn pro and get out of the amateur ranks. So yeah,
so now you've played Reflex a little bit. How long was it the last time that you played Reflex? Like a few years before this?
Oh man, it's been at least probably 4 years since I've played this game. You could probably tell I'm really rusty.
Well, I mean, that's okay. Like, do you kind of like immediately go back to that nostalgia feel a little bit of when you were young? Like, can you imagine yourself playing this as a kid now?
Yeah, for sure. I played this game so hardcore as a kid that like I would invite buddies over and like never get beat. And one time my buddy like beat me and I think I started crying. I was probably like 7, 8 years old, but I think I started crying because I took a lot of pride in not getting beat in this game.
You had that winner's mentality from a young age. Like you did not. They always say that losing you hate losing more than you love winning.
Yeah.
Fort Dodge 2 as well, the track that you pulled up here, iconic track in the game.
Yeah.
Is this like the go-to for you when you play Reflex?
Yeah. And now I even play this track in like MX Bikes, MX Sim now. Yeah. Everyone's recreated it. So kind of a track I've been familiar with for a while, so that's why I chose this, even though I'm not putting on the best display. All
right, so that's gonna wrap up the first half of our show. We're gonna give you guys a quick listen to our sponsors, so hang tight for that, and we'll be back on the other side of this because we're actually gonna have Casey play a game that he hasn't even played yet, and he's in it. So join us here in just a minute. Motocross the Game is the culmination of years of experience in the motocross gaming community to launch their own hyper-realistic motocross game. Constructed by a team of the motocross gaming community's most respected creators, MTG is set to bring the game racers have been dreaming about for years to PC and next-gen consoles. Strap on your helmet and pre-order the future of motocross gaming at motocrossthegame.com. By now, you've likely heard that Racetech is the world's largest aftermarket motorcycle suspension modification company with over 40 years of championship-winning experience. And more recently, they are the go-to engine tuner for many racers and teams in the privateer paddock. What you may not know is that behind the scenes, Racetech is also responsible for the engine machining services for many factory race programs across the industry. Experience factory-level suspension and engines available for the everyday racer and tuner by visiting racetech.com today. All right, welcome back, and now we're playing Monster Energy Supercross 25, the official video game, which, Casey, you're in. This is what your character looks like. Any initial reactions to what your character looks like in this game?
Yeah, I think they did me a little dirty. I would like to think I look a little better. You guys can compare. Obviously, I'm in the top right of the screen, and then there's me. So, I mean, I think they got some features correct, but a little scuffed. a little scuffed.
But yeah, so let's talk about the modern version of gaming. We just played Reflex, which is still in many ways like the GOAT standard for a lot of people. And now we're at this level of gaming, and like, be transparent about it. Like, what do you think is maybe the things they're getting right in modern games, or things that they're still missing the mark on?
I think it's very difficult from a like game producer standpoint, for a game that can be challenging and a lot of room for progress, and then also everyone can play.
Sure.
Which is what Reflex did a really good job of, making it fun for people that want to play like pretty competitively, and then you could pick it up and play also. unlike MX Sim or even MX bikes sometimes, I mean, you got to put some hours in to learn how to play those games. So obviously visually, this is one of the best looking games out there. So they're definitely doing that right. There's no motocross game that looks better than this. So they've definitely improved on visuals, but it's such a hard point to come across with. I'm more of a simulation kind of guy. I love games that take a minute to get good at and, you know, have a big skill gap.
Yeah.
Which these newer games are not as like that, and that's why I play a lot of MX bikes and MX simulators. So I don't agree with, you know, some of the things, but, you know, that's how it is.
How about you being in this game? Is it cool to be in a moto game? Like, is it something that you thought when you were playing games as a young kid? Like, damn, maybe that would be me someday?
Yeah, for sure. I remember like scrolling through the riders on Reflex Alive and stuff and being like, oh, that would be so cool to be in there one day. And like to see it come true and be in a video game for real. It's kind of a surreal full circle moment. Super, like gives you a little good feeling on the inside. So
yeah,
this is the first video game I've ever like officially been in. So yeah, super cool.
We're talking about modern games, and one of our show sponsors, of course, Motocross the game, coming soon. How exciting is it for you to see a project like that come alive? Because now that you've seen what sim games can do on a PC level, do you think like the console gaming genre is still missing that, or is it going to be a tough road for them to get fans and player base to be interested in a sim console game like that?
No, I think it's a really good idea. We haven't had a simulator game on a console like ever for Moto. So I think it's a big step for people that have consoles, like people that wanted to get into simulator games and don't have a computer or a PC to do so. So I'm super excited about a new motocross game anyways, especially the simulator style that we enjoy. So I think it's going to be good for the whole community, and especially if people can really get into it on console. I know that's going to boost majority of kids out there that play just how I started are all on console. So I think it's really good.
If there's one thing you hope that they get the most right with the game, like, is there anything that stands out? I know people always go to whips and air physics and stuff, but is it, you know, ruts and ground physics and track deformation, or is it simple as just like, man, I hope I can throw cool whips?
I think it's definitely gonna come down to like just obviously physics is probably the biggest thing. That's what affects how you're controlling the bike, and ground physics, air physics, just how the rider and bike move simultaneously. I haven't had the chance to check it out or anything, but hopefully I think they have a pretty good crew over there that kind of knows what they're doing. So I'm excited to see what they can do, because I think a new moto game with the right physics, and then obviously I've seen some clips of how it looks, and it looks visually stunning. So yeah, I'm super excited for it.
All right, I'm gonna have you play now. Do you want to do the same track, or do you want to switch it up? Like, is there a track
we can go to the same track? Let's go.
Do you want to Florida Kid? Do you want to do Daytona, Tampa?
Let's run Tampa. Yeah, let's run Tampa. Yeah.
Let's see what the skills are for Casey Cochran playing as himself for the first time in a moto game ever.
I'm gonna make myself look bad.
Funny. Do you remember all the lines in Tampa too? Like, do you remember the race enough?
I watched this one from the stands. So
Mookie getting his first win.
Oh man, that was unreal. Unreal. How do I reset? It just does it for me?
Yeah, it just takes a minute. All right. What's one thing most fans maybe don't understand? Like, you, from an outside perspective, think like, oh, life as a pro is like so glamorous, and you're on a factory team, and it's got to be so sick and all this stuff like that. But one thing that maybe the fans don't fully understand about like the challenges of it too.
I would say I do got it pretty good. I mean, I'm obviously living my dream of racing a dirt bike professionally, so, and especially being on a factory team. So I don't take any of it for granted, that's for sure. And I know I'm in a spot that a lot of people dream of. So No, it's not all sunshine and rainbows for sure. There's some stuff behind the scenes, but just dealing with race day even it could be a lot of very hectic and stressful. Just racing. If anyone is a ex-pro racer, they know. I mean, it's nerves are high. You're kind of on edge all day, and you obviously want to make it the best for the fans as well. Everyone that stops by and wants an autograph and stuff. So I try and do my best to cater to all the fans out there, and then also stay in the moment. So it's kind of hard balancing sometimes, but I do my best.
Have you had a moment in your career so far where you thought like, this is why I do it? Like this is going through the pain and all that stuff that you've dealt with in your career so far. Have you? Maybe it's the Millville podium for sure, but like, is there any other time that you can think of that's like, damn, this is cool?
Yeah, I think obviously the podium comes to mind. I mean, when you accomplish one of your goals that you've had for so long and dream of for, your whole life, that, ticks off some boxes and you're like, oh, we're here. Like, this is it. But then I also love just like seeing, making people's day in the pits as like a kid or something that walks up and asks for some goggles or something, and I'm able to give them out or something and sign them and see like the look on people's faces of how excited they are to be there and stuff. I love doing that whole aspect of the sport. I mean, it's because I was that kid, growing up, so I never forget how it is, and to like make people's day like that and give them the best experience possible is also like my favorite part of it.
If you could swap bikes and lives with one rider from any era, past or present, who would it be and why? Like if you could go back and be Jeremy McGrath for a year or something like that, like, is there anyone that you just like really wish you could have been in their shoes, lived it, experienced it?
Oh, that's so interesting. I almost would say like, I don't know. I was the biggest, growing up, I was the biggest Ryan Villapoto fan in like that 2011, 12, 13 on the Kawasaki. I think like probably around that era, that time. Cause that's when I was like really loved watching motocross like as a kid. And that's like, he was my favorite rider growing up. So probably that.
There you go.
That era.
Good one. And then lastly, if you have one off-season week to do absolutely anything, which is pretty much all you get anymore in this sport, but one off-season week to do anything, no racing, no training, what is the dream Casey Cochran reset for a season?
Ooh. Reset for a season, like a full week?
Yeah, like you get a full week. You go anywhere too. Like let's say it's unlimited budget too.
Oh, unlimited budget. Wow, this is a great question. It would be definitely going to play some of the nicest golf courses in the world and doing some surfing. So it would consist of a lot of golf and a few surfing sessions for sure, because that's my second sport that I love to do is play golf, and I do as much as I can. And in the off season, I play a lot. So it would be finding some of the nicest golf courses that you can't really get on and be able to go play that, and maybe do some surfing early in the mornings with some buddies and stuff like that. So that's what it would consist of.
All right, let's move into our Race Tech Rapid Fire. We got 12 questions we're going to fire at you.
All right.
So you got a 111 on the board here, but I think we could do like, let's challenge you to go like 108 here. I think you could,
okay.
You could get down 3 seconds off the lap time, because you've gone off track a few times too.
Yes, I'm going to lock in.
All right, Race Tech Rapid Fire with Casey Cochran. Let's get it. 2-stroke or 4-stroke?
2-stroke.
2-stroke.
2-stroke,
I love it. Favorite track on the circuit and why?
Redbud. I grew up racing there many a times. I've loved that place. Love the dirt. Love everything about it.
Okay. Who is your biggest rival right now?
Right now. Oh my gosh.
Could be your teammate.
Yeah, my teammate.
Yeah. Ryder D. Pre-race pump-up song.
Oh, right now, Let It All Work Out by Lil Wayne.
All right, good one. Dream sponsor, obviously sponsored by Rockstar and a lot of other people, but have you ever like thought to yourself like, man, it'd be really cool to be like sponsored by Ferrari or something crazy like that?
Oh yeah. Rolex.
Oh, Rolex. Great one. That is such a great one. Most underrated rider in the game right now. That's not yourself.
Underrated rider.
People aren't talking enough about. Could be 450 too.
Oh my gosh. I don't know. I don't know. I don't pay attention.
Like, should we be talking more about Joey Savacci? Should we be talking more about
Shane McElrath?
Yeah, Shane McElrath.
Yeah,
there you go.
He had a good Supercross season. I like him.
P9, I think, in the standings.
Yeah.
All right. What's more daunting, hitting a triple or dealing with media day interviews?
Ooh. Hitting a triple.
Who is your riding hero growing up? You kind of already answered.
Yeah, Ryan Villapoto for sure.
Easy one, easy one. First bike you ever raced?
A PW50. Like, I don't know what year it was, but PW50.
Did you race PW Class of Loretta's?
I did.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, man, that was a nightmare.
How about the dude with no shoes a couple years ago? That was crazy. If you weren't racing, what do you think you'd be doing?
Ooh, two options. I would either be playing golf, trying to play professional golf, or in the military of some sort.
Military. All right. Biggest superstition or pre-race ritual, if you have one?
Ooh, I always have to go pee before I go to, like, on the gate.
You're one of those guys running to the porta potty. Right?
Always go to the porta potty on the gate. Always.
AC got fined a couple years ago for just peeing behind the gate. So don't do that. Go
Nope.
back to the porta potty. And last but not least, describe your riding style in one word.
Methodical.
Methodical. Look at that. Look at the big brain on Casey Cochran digging deep into the thesaurus. I love it. Casey Cochran, first ever episode of Gaming with the Pros, man. It's been a pleasure having you in studio and seeing what it's like to watch you game a little bit too.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. I've enjoyed it, playing some new games that I've never played and old ones. So thanks for having me.
Are you going to go back and play this now?
Yes.
Yeah?
I am. I have some of my buddies actually got it from the codes I gave them, and they're like, yeah, let's play. And I'm like, all right. So as soon as I get back to Florida, I'll boot it up.